transatlantic pressure?
So I think, it's a fiction. So Europe's strategic autonomy, and even the concept of interoperability, EU army, blah, 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 joint procurement, these are all big words hiding propaganda to a large extent. Why? For a very simple reason. And it's linked, to the latest episode in that propaganda machine is the drone war, right? All of a sudden, all these sort of EU federalist propagandists, on top of them, of course, Ursula von der Leyen in Brussels, they came up with the idea of a drone war, and they used as a pretext the supposedly Russian drone attacks on Denmark, Holland, and Poland 3 weeks ago, and nothing proves. I mean, it may have been Russian drones coming from Belarus or Russian boats in the Atlantic or the North Sea. It may also have been false flag operations engineered by the likes of Ursula von der Leyen and NATO. Who knows? But they used these very small incidents and they blew them out of proportion. Oh my God, the Russians are coming with armies of drones. And here we are, 3 weeks later, with a new project invented by von der Leyen, Macron, and Zelensky, which will require tens of billions of euros of spending, euros which Europe doesn't have. Your economic growth today in Europe is close to 0.1% per annum. Inflation is high. The European economy is collapsing. We cannot afford another folly. And so it's an example of what they're saying. And what's fascinating about the drone wall, they are, and it's not a joke, so they are saying seriously. Initially, when I read that 2 days ago, I thought it was a joke, but they're saying seriously, without joking, that they're taking their inspiration from a French defense minister called André Maginot. And actually, André Maginot was a 1928-29 failed French politician. He was a European federalist before Macron and von der Leyen, but he was a failed defense minister who came up with a very expensive idea of the Maginot Line, supposedly protecting Holland, Belgium, and France from the Germans, which was a big, expensive failure. And now they're saying, oh, we want to do a drone line like the Maginot Wall in France in 1928, which was useless and expensive. We want to do an EU drone wall. So even the choice of names is ridiculous. Trump must be laughing. Trump and his advisors, they must have a lot of fun when they're listening to the European Commission, and they must think that we are really stupid and incompetent because it's money we can't afford. And once again, military spending sometimes can be good for GDP, economic growth, if you have a big military industry domestically, like America and like China. So when the Americans and the Chinese, when they spend on military weaponry and ammunitions, they help factories and jobs in Oklahoma, Tennessee, Ohio, Shanghai, Beijing. In Europe, when they will spend on military hardware, I'm afraid 70-80% of the money, European taxpayers' money, will go to factories in Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. So it's really a disaster for Europe.
Right. Ms. Kamila, with Germany and France worry of EU overreach, how can Brussels enforce joint procurement targets without violating national sovereignty?
Well, first of all, by incentives and